Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Tricia, and in today's video, I am going to transform this farmhouse buffet to look totally different. If you love a good transformation, you're going to want to stick around because this is going to be a big one. I've had this buffet, I want to say for about 5 or 6 years. I purchased it on a whim. I had a china cabinet here. I had just gotten rid of it, but we were about to have a big party and I needed to just get something really quick. So I bought this online. I don't recommend doing that. There is so much quality secondhand furniture out there. That is how you should be shopping for furniture now. You'll get it at a better price, you'll get better quality, and you're saving the environment because you're saving a piece of furniture from ending up in the dump. Okay, so here are my plans. You guys have heard me talk about redoing this buffet for more than a year now. Since I changed so much in this space, this cabinet sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't know if you guys remember, I had purchased a sheet of wood veneer for a different project that didn't work out. So I have had this sheet of wood veneer in a closet for that long, and I think that this is the perfect project for it. This is made of MDF, so I am going to completely cover it in wood veneer. I've never done wood veneer before, but I've looked at a ton of videos and I feel confident that I can attempt it. It may not be perfect, but at least I would have gained the experience and had a chance to learn something. So here's the plan. I'm going to add the wood veneer on the top, the sides, and the doors. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is add a piece of 1/8 ply or some sort of substrate so that I can make the door completely flush. Behind this design are these mirrors on all 4 doors. Behind the door has a panel. Don't look at the clutter in there. This is where I actually store some of my paint materials that cannot be stored outside with the varying temperatures. The location is convenient for stepping outside when I have to do projects. I could just grab what I need right here. So my buffet has been my little paint storage. Anyway, so I'm gonna unscrew all the panels from the back of the doors. I'm gonna remove the mirrors, and then I am going to put a piece of ply to fill in this part. Here's the side of the unit, and it also has that recessed area on the side. So I'm going to add the panels here as well as the doors so that the entire thing is completely flush. I'm going to paint the base and the legs, and I'm also going to paint this little area right here that has this little curve. The veneer is going to be on the top, and the side is going to end right here, and then I'm just going to paint this little curved area here. I'm going to be changing up the legs, but I'll share that with you guys in a little later. This exposed type hinge works well with this type of style, but I'm going for more modern looking, so I'm going to change the hinges to a concealed hinge. But before all of that, as usual, I'm going to get started by cleaning it up, take everything out, remove these doors, and start adding the panels and going from there. Let's get started. It's the next day and I'm heading over to Home Depot to look for something for those panels. I measured the depth on both the side and the doors, and it's actually 3/16 and not 1/8. So I have to find something that's exactly 3/16 so that it's nice and flush. These 2x4 chalkboards were the only ones that were 3/16 thickness. So I grabbed 2 of those, headed home, and got started with cutting out the panel. Now that I have all 4 pieces for the doors, I'm just gonna cut this much off. I already measured to get the length to fit into the door. So I just got done cutting out the panels. I did the 4 panels for the 4 doors and also the sides. So once I made the cuts, I had like an inch strip on the end here because these were 2x4s, and these were perfect because I'm changing the hinges, just so you can see, I need to block this up as well. So I need to make this as flush because I am going to be putting that veneer over the entire front. So I just cut them into the lengths and they fit perfectly. So I'm going to attach this, and I'm also going to attach the panels. So this is the veneer that I'm going to be using. It has that 3M adhesive on the back, so that makes it very easy to apply. It's very thin. As you know, wood veneer isn't usually very thick. I'm gonna need to lay this flat for a couple of days so it climatizes to the temperature of the room, and it will be flat enough so I can cut the pieces out. I left the veneer partially under the rug like this for a couple of days while I continue prepping the unit. I gave everything a good cleaning and attached the panels using this Titebond Ultimate wood glue. Left these to dry overnight, and the next day filled any gaps with Bondo and gave it a light sanding. Now it's time to bring the big unit outside to get started with painting. Just to make sure all the painted surfaces are properly sealed, I'm using this Bin Shellac Advanced Primer, and I'm also using my Wagner sprayer. I'm going to do 2 coats of this primer and then 2 coats of paint. Most of what you're going to see on this unit is going to be covered with wood veneer. So I'm painting the inside, the base, that little strip around the top, and the inside of the doors. Now that all the painting is done, I can take the unit back inside and get started with the veneer. But before I do that, I need to prep the surfaces that are going to have that peel and stick veneer. I'm using this clear shellac and I'm applying 2 coats on all those surfaces. This sheet of veneer is 4 feet by 8 feet. So to make sure I had enough to cover everything, I took all my measurements and I planned it out on paper. It took a lot of erasing, a lot of shifting around to make sure it all fit. When I purchased the veneer last year, I also purchased a roll of edge banding in the same red oak finish. So I'm going to be using that around the doors. And for this part of the project, I'm using an edge cutter, a pair of scissors, an Extractor knife, and some sanding sponges. To help smooth it out, I'm just using a piece of scrap wood. I just sanded all the edges to make it nice and smooth, and I'm going to use this to help press it out. But as with any project, there's always a hiccup. When I took the veneer out from under the rug, apparently there was some sort of stain that was on the rug that came through the underlayer and it seeped right onto the veneer. And that remains a mystery as to whatever that was, because there was no smell, it did not feel wet, and I left it another night hoping it would dry out, but it didn't. But the good side is it was right in a spot that I didn't need to cut out any of the pieces. It was just like a dead spot that I wasn't going to use. So that worked out. After measuring and marking out all my cuts, I just did it all with a pair of scissors. This was really easy and quite fun actually. I started with the little strips on the front around the doors. I figured if I messed up in the beginning, these are smaller surfaces and it will be less damage. But it was actually quite easy. I just peeled off the back, pressed it on, and then used my little handy piece of wood and pressed it out. If you want to attempt doing this project yourself, I do suggest getting one of these little edge cutters. It was great for cutting off all the excess. Very smooth and easy to use going along the grain. The only challenge with using it was the 2 sections that I had to go against the grain, which were the 2 pieces on the side of the counter, because I did put the grain coming down. So that was a little bit of a challenge. It's also a good idea to lightly sand all the edges just to take the sharpness off of it. So for every piece I added, I just sanded the edges. And like I said, I'm using the edge banding around the doors, which is an iron-on product. I just put the iron on very hot, passed it a few times, gave it a few minutes to cool down, and then cut off the excess with the same edge cutter. These are the legs that was on the bottom. I did spray some primer on it. It's kind of peeling off because it wasn't sitting flush. So I'm gonna fix that. So this part is gonna get painted in the paint color. And I'm gonna add these. I've got these on Amazon. It came with the pack of the bowls to add them. So I'm gonna be adding this onto the bottom like this. So these are gonna become the new legs. Here's gonna be painted. Here's gonna be stained in whatever color I stained the wood veneer. And this, I'm gonna make it more of like a bronze or like a brass color. This gold is a little bit too bright. So basically whatever the color of the handles are gonna be the same tone of this here. To add this, I'm going to be using these bolts, but this is going to be a little bit too big to fit this in here. So I'm going to make these a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to screw these on so that I can attach this. I'm going to sand that varnish or that poly that's on it off, but I'm going to tape it off so that I don't sand the brass part of it. After I had cut up the veneer, I used some of the scraps and I have been testing out stains. What's nice is I have the actual surface that I'm going to be staining so I can see the real color, and I was able to have it over a couple of days, so I looked at it in different lighting to get an idea of what I would want. I knew the color I wanted, I just didn't know how deep I wanted to go. So I did light to very dark, and I decided on doing a 50-50 mix of this Lily Moon Smoky Gel Stain. The consistency of this gel stain is very different to a typical gel stain. It's almost like a paint consistency, whereas typical gel stains are very gooey. And what's nice is this is water-based, so very easy cleanup and also easy to use. Because I've worked with it before, I know it dries out really quickly. So you always want to spritz the surface, and I like using a damp sponge to apply it. I strutted with the legs first because I figured if I mess those up, I can fix those quite easily. I did 2 coats, and once those were dried, I added my little Rub and Buff Special, also a mix of 2 colors. I'll put it here on the screen. Then I went ahead and finished the rest of the unit. I didn't record it, but I thought I'll mention that once this was totally dried, I did do 2 coats of General Finishes High Performance Top Coat in flat. So coming to the end of this project, I'm going to give you guys my honest feedback on doing this. I think this is a great way to elevate a piece of furniture that's maybe just a standard MDF or maybe even ply. Adding wood veneer totally upgrades your piece because now you have a wooden surface to work with, and you can stain it in any color you like. You can buy this veneer in any type of wood that you like. I've realized over the last year that I actually do love walnut. I love the color of walnut and I love the grain of walnut. So for me, I would have chosen walnut because now this is a year later, so I don't know why I picked oak at the time, but I did. But if I were to choose the veneer that I was going to use, I would have used walnut, but that's beside the point. I just wanted to share that you can choose any type of wood that you like, and you can stain it in any stain or any color that you like. Since this is my first time doing this, it's definitely not perfect, but I do feel next time around I can probably do it a little bit better. I hope this inspires and challenges you to do something you've never done before. If you do want to attempt this project, feel free to reach out with any questions you may have. I love helping others with their DIY projects. Here I'm just putting it all back together. I'm attaching the legs. I used some concealed screw-only hinges to attach the doors. The door handles I got on Amazon. I'm going to list all the products that I used for this project in the description below. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I would love to get your feedback. And here's my new and improved dining room buffet.